the more you know that somebody's going through something, yeah, the more we can talk about it and confront it. And
I'm really excited today to be speaking with Liz Cairns, the director, writer-director of Inedia. Inedia? Inedia.
I think you can say Inedia. I usually say Inedia, but I think it goes both ways.
Well, it really is a wonderful film, Liz. It really, I thoroughly was moved by it and challenged by it. Where did it come from?
Good question. From many years ago, I got really interested in breatharians. Have you heard of breatharians?
No.
Breatharians, I don't know if that's always the name that someone would give themselves, but it's sort of a collective name to describe, a belief system or a practice of living on light energy, or it has different names like prana or source or kind of a divine energy. The idea is that you can transition away from food nourishment or food energy and solely exist on light alone and be sustained by a different kind of energy. And so some breatharians, there's a few kind of key sort of leaders and more outspoken folks in the bunch that claim that, they've gone 11 years without eating or 7 years or 4 years. And there's like a process that you can go through to successfully transition off of food. And there's sort of these other implications, like you need to have reached a certain level of like spiritual awakening in order to do so. So I got really interested in these accounts, and I actually got a book of them that's like many different stories of people that claim to live without food. And this just really sparked my interest, and I did a lot of research, and then I started to go, back through history and look at accounts throughout history of, largely young women, not always, but primarily young women who claim to relinquish all food and be fed by God. So you see this in the medieval ages, as well as, you see it kind of bubble up at different times throughout history. In the Victorian period, it was really common with the Victorian, well, I won't say common, but it was more, um, it was known, these documented cases of young women who claimed to be fed by God and didn't eat, and the Victorian fasting girls. So it really started there. It started with the research interest, and then as I dug in more and more, I began to see myself in these accounts and my own relationship with food. Which when I was a young person, I developed an eating disorder, and even though I'd been in recovery for some time, when I was doing this research, I really saw myself. I understand intimately like a person's desire to not eat and how complex and fraught that relationship with food can be, and coming from the perspective of somebody that, it's not only about weight loss. It's like much more complex for me. It's like having food sensitivities and having more complex health issues that has guided me away from certain foods and seeing certain foods as unsafe. So I wanted to explore that story through the lead character. She's has these mysterious allergic reactions to food, or what she believes are reactions to food, that kind of she's cutting more and more and more out when she's already on that process, when she comes upon the beliefs of this woman that has a community where she's completely relinquished food, and that captivates Cora, and that desire to believe that it's true is really what guides her, and we follow that through the film.
That's amazing. So, I mean, the breatharians, if I'm saying it properly, this is real. I was unaware of that. I mean, I've had
Yeah,
friends that have struggled with eating disorders, and
yeah.
one young woman, a dear friend of mine, passed away because of one.
Oh, I'm so
But I did,
sorry.
yeah. I mean, it was wild, not wild. Wild is the wrong word. Heartbreaking is a better word
Yeah.
to see her battling with this. And I'd never heard of anybody who claimed that we didn't need food before. So I this is an interesting aspect of this story that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, and it's, I think, and I'm so sorry for the passing of your friend. Like, if you know anyone that's struggled with an eating disorder, it's like it can completely consume you, and it can be a very, very solitary and very shameful experience when you're in it. And I think you can completely shut out other people around you, even if they're seeing, and you can be very resistant to help. because again, it is a kind of addiction, right? And so, when I actually went and like spent some time with breatharians, a mix of people who claim to be practicing this and practicing, again, claiming not to eat for many days, many weeks, many years, and then people who were striving to have this practice. And that's when it really hit me how personal it was, and seeing like a lot of anxiety around food that was present in that group. Um, but yeah, I went there not to judge, and I still to this day, even though I wanted to explore some of the like darker and the more harmful aspects of this belief, especially when I look to some of the thought leaders, in the breatharian community, which is really it is really a fringe belief, but it can be very dangerous, especially when ideas around this are being spread online, and young people or people that are struggling with eating are seeing them and believing it to be true and putting themselves, and also this idea that you have to, it takes like a spiritual strength to be
Mm.
able to do this. So there's also a judgment that can come in for yourself if you're not strong enough. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to explore all of that in the film.
Well, I love seeing the what is the main character's name again? I'm sorry, is
Cora,
Cora's character.
Amy.
Yes, Amy. Yes, Amy does a wonderful job. I think she's incredible in this film. I love seeing her journey as she is looking for hope and then struggling to tease out truth from lies is a phrase I think one of the phrases is how is she to know right from wrong when she's surrounded by all these lies? And I guess I would ask, like in this, not just in this world, not in this world of the film, but what we see is we live in a world of information, constant information, and when you're struggling so deeply as someone like Cora's character, what does it mean to separate truth from lies? How do we do it?
I mean, that brings up a really interesting question, and one that I don't know if I have the answers, because it's like I think what we see Cora go through, it's like she has to kind of return to herself by the end. She's been led astray. Like she really, like again, she really, really wanted to believe, and she followed, she went to this community. She undertook this lengthy fast. There was like this desire to believe in this, and to believe that it would make her well,
Mm,
um, which ultimately she recognizes, the darker side of it, and has to kind of confront that within herself and return to herself in a way, right? Which is an unknown, in the film. That's why, like, um, as I was writing and writing and writing, and I was trying to find the ending for the film, I ultimately had to lean into a more ambiguous ending, because I don't know. I don't have the answers. I think it's very complex. Like recovering from an eating disorder is very complex, and also an illness too, right? There aren't easy answers. And I think food can become a site of fixation because it's something we're able to control, especially in a life and an environment where so many things are out of our control. Um, and then Cora has to kind of reckon with that not being the way forward. Yeah, so I don't know if I think I'm still asking those questions. And if anything, the film was like a way for me to ask some of those questions.
mm. Uh, I I love that. I think that's such an important aspect of this film, and also the question of support. And I thought it was interesting in this film. I mean, Cora is of course looking for answers, but also looking for support. She's looking for healthy community. And the people around her don't seem to, especially I think it's her sister, character of her sister, doesn't seem to know how, but like it's coming from a genuine place, but isn't helping. And I would ask in your mind, like, what do you think it truly means to offer support when someone else is struggling?
That's so interesting. Like I wrote the sister character again from, I've been in her shoes, and I've also been in Cora's shoes, where there's a resistance to a help, or a feeling that the people around you are reducing what you're going through, or they want easy answers for you, or they're giving you advice. And then also been on the other end, where you feel so helpless to really know how to guide somebody, and you want to help, but you're also at the end of your own compassion sometimes, or um, so really for me, it's like even just acknowledging. For me, the ending of the film is Cora kind of acknowledging that she needs more support, that she can't do this on her own. Like she's gone to a community, but it's like kind of recognizing I do need help. I need more help than I'm asking for. And that vulnerability and that decision to make that phone call at the end of the film is is her kind of inviting in. It is that kind of first step toward recovery in a way of recognizing that it's gone too far, and you do need to ask and let somebody know that you're struggling. It's so interesting. Like when I was, and I again, I get a little bit cautious talking too much about disordered eating. You have to be very careful about how it's spoken about. But all I'll say is I was I was very much in my 20s, like um, in it, really struggling. And one of my best friends, like a very, very good friend of mine, came to me because she wanted to tell me, and it was very painful. She was crying and she was very upset and she was having a really hard time getting it out. And she, eventually got it out that, she was going to go into a recovery program for the exact same eating disorder that I was struggling with in that moment. And I just said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm here if you need me." Like I mean, I was very sensitive, but I couldn't at that time, I personally wasn't ready for my own recovery, that I couldn't acknowledge to her that I was going through the exact same thing,
Mm.
right? And that could have been a moment of my own connection and an opportunity for me to get out of my own struggle, but I chose not to. So I think it's a really difficult. Sorry, that's my clock. It's
It's a problem. No problem.
every hour. It's like a different bird call. So anyway, it's like sometimes I think when you're in the throes of an illness or an addiction, you can be very resistant to help. Um, and yeah, I don't really have the answer. I just know when you are ready, just like letting somebody know that you need support is really. And I was there for my friend, but I wasn't ready for
Mm.
myself to admit that I was going through something very similar.
What was it a challenge for you to create this film with everything that you've been through, or was it cathartic in a sense?
It was cathartic in the end. Yeah, it was very challenging. I think there was a number of years I was questioning why I would like I wanted to put it away at times and not make something so personal, and really struggled with that. But we kind of persevered as we do, right? And I think it's been a very overall very cathartic experience too. I think the more I talked about it, because I was very private about it for many, many years. Even after I'd recovered, I was very private. I didn't talk to anyone about it in my life, in my peer group. And the more I've talked about it, the more one I've recognized other people are going through similar experiences, whether it's necessarily an eating disorder, but people struggling in similar ways. So it's become more of a site of connection than I could have expected, and that's helped me really move through the shame and the yeah, just confront it and making a film about it and realizing just how much viewers are connecting with Cora's story and seeing themselves and what she's going through has been really wonderful.
That's so much of it, isn't it? It's like, I mean, I haven't dealt with this, but with my own struggles, my own issues, our own suffering. When you speak it and you find out that one other person in the world has dealt with it, it is a powerful moment. I think it's a genuinely powerful moment.
Yeah, yeah. And just like it's a little bit like bringing it out into the light, like bringing it, the more you know that somebody's going through something, it's yeah, the more we can talk about it and confront it and not stay siloed.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I was just wondering, Liz, what do you hope audiences take away from Inedia?
Inedia. I think for me, like some of the more moving experiences, like in the screening environments and connecting with viewers, has been yeah, yeah, viewers seeing themselves in Cora and like feeling seen.
Hmm.
Because it's not, I think, and I've talked about this in other interviews. Like I really wrote that idea of like writing the film that you wish you'd seen when you were a young person. I didn't have, there was like not very many representations of eating disorders that felt like they reflected my experience. Of course, that's the thing, they're so complex, they're so individual. So in many ways, I think Inedia it's my story, and it's not going to be reflective of many other people's experiences. But I think when I hear that a viewer has felt seen by the film and by Cora's experience, that's really moving to me. And I think just again, like having those conversations after the film, talking about, um, the themes and the ideas and the ending, which is like a more challenging ending, and some of the more uncomfortable aspects of what we see on screen in the film, having that dialogue after, being able to talk to a loved one or talk to a friend or talk to your kid, um, about what they're going through in their relationship with food, um, and their body, and their well-being. That's what I would hope for.
I appreciate that. Honestly, the film is wonderful.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate the chance to chat with you about it. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you for your wonderful question, Steve. This was lovely.
Thank you, Liz. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks.